Welcome to part 3 of our 5-part rental self-management masterclass. We've prepped the home and marketed the listing. Now comes the most critical step: applications and screening. In my experience managing a homes, this is where you win or you lose. Today, I'm showing you the exact templates and background check software I use to ensure only the best renters get the keys. Enjoy.
At this point, we've got the property, we've got the marketing profile. Uh, we are basically starting to start receiving applications, right? So screening and doing what I call lease conversions. Um, I'm always a user experience mindset kind of guy. So if I was to encourage everyone, the number one metric is mean time to respond to any inquiry. I think my average is probably 1 to 2 minutes. Again, especially on Facebook. I mean, it's right here. Boom, I get the response. I copy my template response and I send it over. Uh, I've always gotten praise, even if they decide not to rent for me. They're like, dude, Adrian, like you've been incredibly responsive. Thank you for the time. Sorry, it wasn't a good fit. But right away, that's the perception you want to get. That's the brand you want to start building as an operator. Kind of same thing in terms of once you start getting applications. For me, the portal I use is apartments.com, by the way. So the moment I get applications through, I quickly review them because I want to get back to the renter and the candidate to say, hey, this is what we found. Some of them are either red flags, yellow flags, or hey, all green flags. If you're interested in moving forward, this is what the process looks like. You don't want to keep them on the hook. I always tell them there's no rush, but the reality is if you can move faster and give them a reason not to continue searching, that increases your chances that they're going to go with you. Um, and part of that is also being very upfront in terms of sharing the lease agreement with them and giving them time to say, hey, take the time to review it. If you got any questions, just give me a call. Again, depending on the market and location, that need might change. But with me, with being college students, some of them, this is their first lease agreements they ever seen, and the lease agreement I do get from a county specific generated template. Again, I would say I'm not a lawyer, but there's a lot of value in having maybe a lawyer craft one out for your particular market because regulations and policies do change region by region, county by county. But for me, I went with just I paid a little bit of money to generate one from I can't remember the website 8 years ago, and that's been the one I've used since I've stayed in the same market since the beginning. But I walk through the lease agreement with anyone that wants to, make sure they're comfortable about it and that they understand all of the clauses. And again, make sure that they are aware of what the expectation is there's about their security deposits, um, and what are the co-signer requirements as well. Again, because I rent out to college students, that's delivered up front. Um, and when it comes to the lease agreement and signing, again, I've always felt simplicity is key here, right? When I first started, it was old school. You print out 12 pages and then you sign. And then I realized after doing that for a while, I'm like, this is too much paperwork. This is too much work. I have to meet the person and the candidate in person. So I went digital, and I got Adobe Acrobat PDF, and that allows me just to do e-signatures. And I'll show you all an example of how I use that here shortly. But it's incredibly easy to just kind of populate where you want the renter to fill out their information or where they want them to sign. Same thing for co-signers and their specific sections. And you do it remotely. Everyone gets a copy at the end, and it's incredibly simple. So I guess I should probably talk a little bit about what things I look for screening, and I think this is going to be very much on an individual basis. But to me, uh, absolute blockers and showstoppers are any kind of felony, things of that nature. That's just something, at least in my area, I'd be very abnormal, and so I probably wouldn't feel comfortable in a room by room rental situation to bring someone in because I also think about my current renters. And now learning recently any previous recent evictions. I've always tried to run this as a business, but also with a kind heart and kind of give the benefit of the doubt to people. But if there's a recent eviction, there's even if you kind of dig a little deeper into it, Very rarely is there an eviction where like it wasn't for a good reason. And my most recent eviction was one of those situations. I kind of rolled the dice. I had a co-signer, but then things happened and we had to go through an eviction process with that individual. So with me, recent evictions would be a showstopper. The other big one people might think about is credit checks, credit scores. I'm a little bit more lenient on that, depending on if a co-signer is involved. Um, and again, because I work with college students, some college students don't have a lot of credit history, so their credit number is low. So in those cases, I prioritize what is their credit usage percentage. Are there any collections, things of that nature? So I don't just look at the number. I do try to dig a little deeper. And again, that's something that obviously like that's time that you spend. So another reason to get a property manager, they're probably going to be more systematic and just say, yeah, based on conditions and the rule engine. With me, I do take a little bit more time to dig a little deeper, but I've been able to convert renters that stayed with me 2, 3 years, even though on paper, on the application and the thresholds, they were either on the edge or they didn't meet them. After digging a little deeper, I was able to make that work for them. I promise I showed templates. Everything's a template, right? And over 8 years, I've made a template for late payments, to issue warnings, slash pre-eviction notices. In case people don't know what a sublease is, TLDR or a short version of it, I don't recommend you do this. I've done it once and it didn't work out. Essentially, this is where you give your renter the right to for them to rent another room out, with them being effectively the person who receives money. In my clauses, it clearly says that I am still the one that has to approve the subleaser. It's just not worth the heartache, but there's a template for that there. Regular lease agreement. Um, Sorry, this is the lease agreement with sublease terms. This is the sublease for the subleaser to sign and review. I've got one with a co-signer clause, early cancellation template, and of course, renewal template as well. And here's Adobe. I don't know if people have used this. Like I said, super quick. I'll keep it short demo, but I love it. You just simply click request e-signatures. And if I'm still logged in, you select the file. I think I've got a file here for my template. Downloads template. Here we go. Upload a PDF. You enter everyone's email. So for me, y'all are all friends. So that's my personal email. Do not spam it. But you can add more individuals. You can add CCs. You can add a group. But for now, let's just keep it there. And then from here, once this processes, this is where it's pretty straightforward just to use these drop downs to click and drag based on what you want the person to fill in. So things like data signing, I just click and drop those in the right locations. Let me scroll all the way down because you would just do that same for the rest of the places. E-signature, once you populate everything, if you've got other people, they would show up here. So again, my co-signers, I'd add their email and then I could just drop where I need them to fill their stuff out. And then I just click send. And you have the option here to say if people need to sign in the order in which you added them, or if people can sign out of order and regardless of the sequence. For me, I always say I need to sign first so that by the time the candidate gets this, they already see my signature. It looks legit. Like at this point, once you sign it, you're good to go. Gives them a little more confidence versus if I haven't signed it yet. Yes, this I think costs $20 a month. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, you do pay for it. The website is called apartments.com. You'll see here applications. I don't want to click on it because then it'll show all my addresses of the properties, but in applications, this is free. By the way, apartments.com, best software out there in my opinion, just because it's free. It handles applications, slash credit and background checks. It lets you handle payments, so renters can schedule automatic payments. They can see their balance. You can add additional bills. And then one of my favorite parts is the reports tab at the end. Well, there's the reports and the maintenance tab, but reports lets you generate what I use for my own tax filing. So all my income, all my expenses, Um, so yeah, it would be this offer. For the applicant, it's $30. If they have a co-signer, it's an additional $30. And they do a good job getting results back quickly. I think recently they changed backend providers. And by provider, I mean I think whatever bridge between them and TransUnion, because in the past it would take about 1 to 2 days, sometimes even just hours. And then there was a period where we're taking 5, 7 days, and I had to call them up. I'm like, hey, what's the deal? I'm running a business here. I can't wait a week for this. And they told me that they were doing some changes in the back end. But now I'm starting to see things back again where it honestly just takes sometimes just 30 minutes.
Having a solid screening process is the best way to prevent headaches down the road. But what happens once the renter moves in? In video 4, we're covering the long game, day-to-day management, from collecting rent to handling those inevitable maintenance costs. We'll cover it all next. I'll see you there.